now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome and welcome back, everybody.
Hey.
It's me, Daniel,
And this is Ben.
on Spoiled Rotten. And today we are revisiting Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox.
That's right,
Too
baby.
long of a name. But I will say it is smart, as this story feels way more Justice League-y than actual Flash. The way
Yeah.
it's told.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I feel like the name change works here.
I agree with you on that. It's just one of those things where I'm like, in my mind, I register it as this is a Flash-led movie, and everything else is Justice League and all that kind of stuff. Very effective use of all the characters, very fun, but effectively, to me, predominantly a Flash movie with a lot of fun supporting cast.
I don't feel like it's a Flash
Or
movie,
story.
but
Sorry, Flash story.
It is a Flash. It is a Flash story. I just feel the way it's one of those things where what sticks with me. Obviously, I'm a Batman fan, but is the like Thomas Wayne
Yes.
becomes Batman and Martha Wayne becomes the Joker, because that's just an interesting idea to me. That's what sticks with me. But also, like, I feel like when I read the comic, it didn't feel as much like it must be there, but it doesn't feel so much as being weighed down by the Aquaman and Wonder Woman stuff.
Right.
I don't know. The comic just felt a lot more focused on Barry.
Right.
And then the other stuff was just like, oh, I can't believe this happened. Whereas it feels like almost immediately you're like, oh, wow, we really got to deal with the whole Aquaman versus Wonder Woman thing.
Yeah, they do a lot of fast tracking throughout that whole thing. But I mean, you're right. It does kind of like, it is a weird kind of thing in the movie because of the runtime, and I do suspect that, like, in the actual comics, it's like, oh yeah, it's got, like anything, got time and room to breathe and flesh out a lot more things, and like I would have loved more to know about the Aquaman, Mera, and Wonder Woman triangle that starts the whole war off and all that kind of stuff. But it's just, I think the reason why this succeeds for me is because you're finding out that this was actually all done by the Flash, and it wasn't done by Reverse Flash. Like, it's a mystery is basically what really gets me going for this whole thing.
So yeah, if people don't know the Flashpoint story, it is Barry wakes up and he's like, what, my mom's here and I don't have powers, this is crazy. And we've already said it, there's a war going on where where Aquaman and Wonder Woman, so basically the people from Themyscira and the people from Atlantis are at war, and it's because Wonder Woman and Aquaman had an affair, and Wonder Woman killed Mera. And we've also already said that in this universe, Bruce Wayne's the one who dies, which does not work out for either of his parents.
No.
Rightfully so, but his dad becomes a very brutal and lethal Batman, and his mom becomes Joker.
Yeah.
And Barry goes to Batman to be like, hey, just turn me back into the Flash and I can fix this. And Cyborg is there too, played by Michael B. Jordan.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I'm like, I forgot that, and then I'm like, I know that voice.
It's funny because before the alternate universe, he doesn't say anything, and I'm like, I remember being sold on this movie by being like, oh, Michael B. Jordan's in it, and then feeling like he wasn't really in it, and then I was like, wait, does he even say anything? And then the alternate universe happens and he talks a lot, but I was just like, what are they doing here? Why isn't he talking? But yeah, that's the general idea. And if you've seen the Ezra Miller Flash movie, they do a version of that.
Yes.
What I feel is missing from what's driven home in the comic is that while the Flash is the one who ruined things by going to save his mom, it is Reverse Flash who killed his mom. Like, he hates Flash a lot, and so like I feel like that it's not that they don't do that, but it just feels like it gets lost in the mix.
It does. It does get, yeah. It definitely isn't the focus.
It's not even addressed in the Ezra Miller version, because they obviously told a different.
Yeah.
They told a version of it, but not the version of it.
Yeah, they were very much interested in not having Reverse Flash in there as the main villain and just being like, "Oh, this is your own mistake" and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But and this is the thing too, and I knew we would get to this point to points of comparison to the Flash movie. But the thing I hate about the Flash movie is that it takes away the mystery right away, and it's like, oh, it was all Barry right away. You know what I mean? It's just like he just does it, and I'm like, this is so much better because it's a slow burn, the slow reveal of like, is it Thawne? And then because there's two moments in the Flashpoint Paradox movie that I love more than anything else, which is the Reverse Flash speech, like monologue to Barry at the end, and then the Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne letter thing. Those are the two moments I love the most out of this, and it's a shame because the Flash movie just does not have any of that whatsoever, and it's just like,
Yeah, I think
you know,
it's my legendary. I just like that movie is its own thing for the most
yes.
part. Like, and as we talked about, like it's not trying to do that exactly. Like it's riffing on it.
Yeah.
And I think that movie was all about taking accountability, which this isn't about. So
no, it's not.
In that sense, I don't think it works if it's a mystery because you need to know that it's a mistake he made and what's at stake.
Yeah. And you're right to point out that the theme of that movie is shifting to taking accountability because, and this is the very, very important thing, is because Batman in that first act of that movie warns Barry about like, hey, time travel and all that kind of stuff.
Don't mess around with it.
And he just does it anyways, right? So it's just like in this one, and he does not know any of the effects.
He's just I think that's what's wrong with making it as short as it is as well. Because I don't feel like Barry goes on a journey really.
I agree with that.
I think that you're right that to me it's as a rewatch it's not fun for the mystery. I'm just like I just feel like it's obvious you did something wrong. Like I feel like the moment you're like, hey, my mom's still here, I would be like, did I bring my mom back? Like, did I do this? This seems like something I would want to do.
Yeah, he doesn't question it at all. He's just like, this is working out for me. Oh, and my mom thinks I'm gay. I guess that's my biggest problem right now.
I wanted to bring that up. When he's fighting the top at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, it looks like I'm the top and you're the bottom. I was like, what? Why?
That's
I know it's a gay
joke.
I understand that, but I was just like, why? And then when the mom's like, oh, you're gay, right? And I'm like, is this a thing? Like, do I? Because I'm not like a Flash fan like that. Like I watched the show,
right?
I've read the Flashpoint comic book, and I feel like in the comic, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like in the comic, the mom assumes he's gay as well. But I just was like, is that like a thing with Barry Allen where people are like, well, he's gay, right? Or no? Like I just like, is this a fan service thing or someone thought it would be funny to make a top and bottom joke?
I honestly don't know, and to me, it's just like I don't know what they were going for there. But it's in the movie, and I'm just like, this is weird.
Well,
it's just
this is like also the time where they were like, we could do PG-13. Like they end up doing R, but because there's another movie where they bleep it, but the newscaster says, "Oh, in other news, people love getting fucked," and but like it was like bleeped out, and that was like their PG-13 pushing the envelope. So the top bottom thing to me was like, is that supposed to be like, there we earned our PG-13?
I don't know because that. I don't know if that is a PG-13 joke or if it's just one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, that joke is for the parents, watching it with the kids.
Not for kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. Because I don't know the rating system quite so well, but it's just one of those things. It just feels weird because I'm like, what? Why would? But then because the issue with like that kind of thing is like once Barry starts fusing some of his memories with this new timeline and his old timeline, and that becomes a thing, I'm just like, you would have had some memories of like a boyfriend if that was true, right? Or like
I don't think he's gay. That's why I was thinking, is this like a fan thing where everyone likes to like have fan fiction about him being gay and they just put that in because I feel like famously he's straight and is with Iris West, and it's the big thing about the Flash is he has a significant other who knows that he is the superhero. He doesn't try to gaslight his as much as other heroes where they just flat out deny. It's a more healthy version that way.
Mhm.
so that his sexuality isn't really in question that
Yeah,
way.
I
So
mean,
so it's just like, oh, they're doing that, but like they double down with the whole, yeah, you're gay, right?
it's a weird moment. It's a weird moment that was like, I don't think I remember that the first time I watched this, but it's there.
Yeah,
And
it's there. I also, you mentioned the Reverse Flash speech. I really like C. Thomas Howell as Professor Zoom via
yeah.
Barthon. There's something I'm just like, wow, this guy's like doing a good job with his vocal. Like I don't know, there was something about the Flash where I was just like, he's not just reading the lines, but he's as close to just reading the lines as possible.
Mhm.
Versus C. Thomas Howell, where I'm like, hey man, like make the movie all about him. I think he's invested in
Yeah.
this character.
Yeah. Yeah, his
I
voice
really
acting is
appreciate his,
great.
yeah, I really appreciate this performance.
Mhm.
Um,
Which is a shame that you just don't get more of him because it's just like, yeah,
yeah,
he's partially in the first act and then sprinkled into the third, but it's just it's so
and by the
crappy
time
to
he's back,
me.
it's mostly just him beating Flash up. It's not really.
Yes. Which is fine, but because
But
like
I want to hear him
that
talking. Like that's the thing. I'm just like I
yeah.
want like yeah. I just really appreciated that performance.
Yeah, and that's why I love that speech by him so much. Is it's not just the content of it, but it's the delivery of it. It's
Yeah,
so effective because I'm just like, yeah, no, he legitimately has the moral high ground in this situation. And he's like, I didn't do it. I'm just gonna watch this all burn. Like that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm like,
yeah.
this is it's a great moral conundrum. It's so good.
Um, we do get Kevin Conroy back as
Yeah, we
regular
do.
Batman, not not Thomas Wayne
Not
Batman.
Thomas Wayne
That's good.
Batman, yeah. Well, that
Um,
part sucks because, we don't get more Kevin Conroy.
yeah, he's
But I
he's
mean,
passed away, but he's
you get to watch old animated series stuff.
yeah,
Point is that
he's
he's here and it's great.
he has done a lot of work that you can revisit
Yes.
or discover for the first time. But
Yeah.
it is still sad that he's gone.
Yeah.
Um,
But he's in it, and that's always great because he's always doing a good job.
also the alternate universe Superman. When they got to him, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. That's like a big thing.
Mhm.
For some reason in this movie, I was like, this seems
Doesn't
like a
it doesn't
minor annoyance.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that big until you realize, oh, it's because he needs to come in and do the thing at the end where it's like, oh, he takes out Aquaman's arm and really shifts the tides of the war, so to
But
speak.
it's like it's still like, but Cyborg's still gonna die because you
Yes.
already know all of them need to die. That's that not the
Yep.
point, but that is the ultimate realization. Even in
Mhm.
the Ezra Miller movie, the realization is like this world will not survive. You got to
Yes.
go back and fix things.
Mhm.
Um, but you are. It is kind of like I feel like they wanted to give him a superhero moment, and then he's just looks so pitiful anyway, and he's just like friend, and I'm like, oh,
Well, oh, Superman? Yeah,
yeah. I'm
yeah.
just like, oh,
It's
yeah.
weird. Like it's weird, but I mean, of course he would be weird. He's been locked away for that long. He's going to
I
be
mean,
not having any
that's
social skills and all that kind of stuff. But
I guess that's the benefit of reading a comic versus
mhm.
watching them. Like I can give it a bit more of my own like
Yes.
version of the personality when I'm reading it,
Hmm.
because it's not like that's not what happens. It just feels
It feels
weak
weird. Yeah.
in this movie.
Hmm.
And for as much as people complained about Sasha Kai in the Ezra Miller movie, I was like, I liked that arc for her.
Yeah, it was
She
great.
like got she's not in it a lot, but she gets to be a part of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and not just the weird being that they use basically just like a weapon,
Hmm.
or like the Iron Giant
Yeah.
more so.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
do like that scene where they're like walking into it and they're like there's all these like test subjects and all that kind of stuff and like really showing you like what the government really did to
hmm
try to like test and like try to get to figuring out weaponizing and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, it paints a really good picture. It really does.
yeah. That I think that is again this movie they don't really have time to explore, but that idea that
Hmm.
all of that happened to Superman, and even if it's not happening to him, he's watching humans be terrible,
Hmm.
and then still makes the decision to help because that's
Hmm.
the right thing. Is an interesting idea that this movie doesn't really, because they just boil it down to like, I'll just help my friend who helped me that one time, and it's
Yep.
not really like something that you feel he's like. I guess that's the thing. Not many characters feel like they're working through anything. It just feels like, yeah, that's the beat. That's the beat.
Yeah, it does feel like they got to write the most fun version of like global destruction because
Mhm.
they're like, yeah, it's going to get reversed by the end of it. So like we get to do the most fun. So let's tear apart Europe. Let's do this. And I'm
Mhm.
like that. It's a lot of fun, especially to see like. And I didn't realize this. The guy in the hood that was like talking to Batman. I'm like, oh, are they trying to say that that's Dick Grayson? And Dick Grayson like would have turned into that had it not been
Mhm.
for. And I'm like, that's okay. That's really really cool because like they obviously don't have their like normal universe superhero names except for Batman and all that kind of stuff and
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, all those. But like there are those accessory characters. So watching Dick Grayson get shot, like those deaths are wild. I
It's intense deaths, yeah.
It's intense. Like the fact that Diana goes like, no, say you're like change back into your human form, and then he just straight up slaughters kids. I'm like, whoa, this is very Revenge of the Sith kind of
Yeah,
thing.
the kid stuff was wild.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
completely
don't.
forgot about that.
I'm not a fan of the Diana and Arthur stuff. If I'm being honest, it was just I the way it happens in this movie. I think it really comes down to the portrayal of Aquaman, where I'm
Yes.
just like, I don't know. He seems just like a bad guy. I don't really
Yeah.
feel like I'm losing anything. There's the alternate people. As much as I say they don't feel like they're working through anything, I
Mhm.
feel like it's set up for you to see how they could be working through things.
Yeah.
And for Aquaman, I'm just like, he just seems like an asshole. Just kill it. Like, I don't know, kill him. Like, I
Yeah,
don't care.
he very much seems like that kind of ruler of a king. There's like my people want wars. I guess we're gonna do that again. And I'm just like, no, that does make you seem really really crappy and just like full on evil because he's he knew that Mara tried to assassinate her.
Right. Like,
And
the Wonder Woman thing is like, your wife tried to assassinate me, so fuck you.
yeah.
And obviously, I don't even. You're supposed to. I feel like the best case scenario, you should feel like, oh man, like they loved each other, but then their egos or whatever got in the way. But I'm
Mhm.
just like, I don't know, it just seems like they're assholes, and I don't care.
100%. They're asshole versions of themselves in this, in the sense where it's like,
Right,
yeah,
but I
Arthur
feel like
cheats.
everybody, even then they're like a different version of themselves, you still feel something for them, and I don't feel anything for specifically Aquaman.
Yeah, no, Aquaman sucks in this because he's a very effective villain. Because you're just like, yeah, why are you doing this? Why? But
Yeah, that to
it's
me doesn't feel effective. That just feels like he's just a villain.
but see, well, I mean, yes, but in this is the funny thing, and this is why this is not a fully fleshed out thought, but this is what I noticed while watching this time around. I'm like, oh, are they making commentary on how stupid like the start of World War II was, or like the World Wars of how it was like basically like competitions and like arguments between cousins and all that kind of shit that got blown up to that scale. I'm like, it kind of feels like they're making a commentary on that, where it's like, oh, okay, we can start a world war because someone had extramarital affairs, and apparently
Hmm.
the whole world hates each other and is blowing each other up about that kind of crap, right? So I'm just like, are they making a commentary? Again,
I
not a
mean,
fully fleshed
that's
out thought, but it could
the.
be.
I think that commentary has been with us for a long time because that's
Fair.
basically the story of like the Trojan War. Like
Yes.
that's so I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just probably not as specific to the the
Right.
world wars as it
Mhm.
is just in general the idea of war being able to break out from very trivial things.
Yes. Very like pride based crap because that is a pride thing where it's just like, yeah, you can't go back to his people and be like, she was kind of right to do that. Like Marrow's wrong. Like, he's not gonna do that, and
No,
that's why it feels like yeah, he's not even a version of himself that is looking for redemption. He's just like, I guess this is the bet I have to. This is the course I have to take now, and
he's
that
just
sucks.
doing things because they're like he's the bad guy of the story, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that feels like a bummer. Eh,
Yes.
I think especially because for the most part people aren't like Aquaman fans, so you should
Hmm.
probably give them something like to lean into, and instead
Hmm.
of just like, I don't know, man, just kill him. Just
Yeah.
I don't. It would not be a loss if you killed him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like losing this Aquaman, I'm like, yeah, fine. Just straight up do it.
And I'm
Straight up
not
do it.
even like, there's certain villains where you're like, oh man, I can't wait for them to die. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, he could die or just walk away. I don't care. Just as long
Yeah.
as he's gone, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah. It does speak poorly for Aquaman that we were like, yeah, I I guess whatever like happens to you, fine, whatever. But
Yeah,
you're just
like
a straight up villain in this. You suck.
yeah, that's I think that is a bummer because as I said, it feels like it takes over more of the movie
Hmm.
and it is a big part of the storyline. Don't get me wrong. Like it's not
Yes.
I'm not saying like this movie made it bigger than it is. It just feels like it takes up too much time because of the
Yeah.
short runtime and I don't feel anything for Aquaman in particular.
No. No. You're absolutely right about that. Like I don't even know why her and well him and Diana had an affair to begin
Yeah, I
with.
feel like that should be in this movie.
Right?
Like
It
you feel like, oh man, they were so tempted. There was so much chemistry. It's just like a thing that happened that you have to be like, oh, that happened. All right.
yeah. It's just to me that's the baffling part of like why did this happen? Because it's not like everyone was like naive about it. It's like everyone knew that he was married to Mara,
Hmm.
and all this kind of stuff. They knew what they were doing, and I'm just like, well, why did it happen then? Because
Yeah.
you and Diana are both in the wrong for that. Mara, I'm not saying an assassination attempt by Mara is justified, but I can certainly understand where she's coming from more so than where Diana's coming from.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, maybe killing her is a bit over the top, but
Mhm.
also she said she tried to assassinate him. Like, seems like she just wanted to fight you because you like disrespected her marriage.
A little bit, yeah.
I
And
mean, she was gonna kill her, but I just feel like it is interesting to position it as an assassination attempt instead of just you getting the consequences of your action.
yes, yes.
It didn't feel like a political move, like all right, and then we do. It's like you slept with my husband and you disrespected me and my marriage. I'm gonna
Mhm.
get you for that.
Yeah.
This is very
Is
plain and simple, like straightforward. If I told anybody what I was doing, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense,"
yeah,
or they'd be like, "Oh, you
because
can't. That'll make things worse." But they wouldn't be like, "Whoa, like that's so cunning," and what are the ramifications gonna be?
because it's not like what you would expect from this kind of civilization of Atlantis and Themyscira, where they're like old school ways, where it's like, okay, if these two do marry each other, it means a fusion of their kingdoms, it means they're stronger, and then there's probably conquest or something like that. Like you would expect something like that if there's a greater threat like Darkseid coming or something like that. It's like we need a better army, so let's Themyscira and Atlantis partner up and all this kind of stuff through and like you would expect that kind of Game of Thronesy storyline be thrown in
Yeah,
this, but literally it's just like, oh, they cheated on each other and we don't know why,
and I
and Mara's angry about it,
rightfully so. And I just
rightfully
think I
so.
just feel like also I'm not saying that Wonder Woman has never been with another superhero, but I feel like you kind of have to do a bit more justifying given
Yes.
a big thing of Themyscira is there are no men there, so they wouldn't
Yeah.
automatically be like, yeah, I gotta get with that guy. Like they would just be like, I'm into women. Like I'm
Yeah.
into like the people around me. And so if I think that's what makes it more interesting if she gets
Mhm.
with a like the Steve Trevor storyline is her being
Yes.
like, wow, I like that's a big deal. I hate that it lasted for two movies, but it is a big deal when she does it and you see that build to something.
Mhm.
Or if they yeah, like just when they do it like in Justice League if she's with Batman, it's like over time there's flirtation. This was
Mhm.
just like no, she just had to get with Aquaman. I'm like, but
Yeah.
why? Like what? Why?
Yeah. I don't get it. I'm just like, it would make sense if it was like, yeah, this is a political move, right? But it's not. It's just like, oh, y'all are just hot and horny for each other. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I get that. Like, don't get me wrong, I get that. But the idea of just like you there has to be something more compelling than why these two actually slept together. Because it
hmm,
doesn't like if he just wanted to cheat and she just wanted to cheat, they're at positions of power enough to be like, all right, you know what I mean? Instead, someone that wouldn't threaten the throne in that
yeah,
capacity, right? It just baffles my mind. I'm like, why these two? I don't get it.
yeah. It's not.
That's
It is. It doesn't work for me. But
yeah,
it's an important part of the story. It's
it
like
is an important part.
you gotta have that threat and that everyone's
Mhm.
working to stop that. I remember thinking that Thomas Wayne was a lot more ruthless. Like he is, but he also is just kind of like they keep reminding you, like, nah, I used to be a doctor. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah,
like, I'll
yeah.
help. Yeah.
I feel like the Thomas Wayne, it's just a lot of in this telling, not showing. I'm like, okay, he uses guns, sure, but like he's not that
He
really.
feels a lot. I mean, maybe that's the point, but he still feels
Mhm.
like Batman, but just with guns. It
Yes,
doesn't really feel like you understand the no kill rule, especially since he doesn't kill like the Harley. I know her name's Yo Yo, but it feels like a Harley
I'm
uh
100% sure that's Harley.
comp, and I get
Yes.
that Yo Yo is a real character, but even the way they voiced Yo Yo, I was like,
No,
seems
that's
like you want
Harley.
to do Harley.
Yeah.
I just was like, he should just kill her then.
Yes.
But he doesn't
Right?
get what he wants. He should just kill her if you want to
Yeah.
drive this point home.
That's exactly it. I'm just like, okay, there's a lot of telling, not showing about how brutal he is. And it's just like I get why he turns off the brutality because it's like, oh, I could bring my son back, or there's a world
Hmm.
where my son's alive.
Once
Let me
he's with
just like
Barry,
prioritize that. That's good. But everything you see of him just solo, except for him like understandably beating the crap out of the shooter that killed Bruce, I'm just like, he's not that brutal.
right?
He's
Yeah,
just uses guns. Like
yeah.
that's the only
He's
difference, in my opinion. Because Batman does very brutal things too. Like I'm sure
that's
I've
the thing.
heard
He just was
Batman.
Batman with guns because he's
Yeah,
not like he was like, oh, then I'm gonna kill you. He's just like, give me what I want. I'm like, yeah, that's just exactly what Bruce would do.
yeah. Because I'm just like, okay, that I'm sure I've heard Bruce in some other version of not this, but say something like, "Oh, that's you have nine more bones, like fingers left for me to
Hmm.
break," or something like that. And he says that here. I'm like, it's just Batman with guns.
And he's saying it to Barry, so you're not like, oh no, he's gonna kill our guy. He's just torturing.
Yeah,
Like it's like, okay, yeah, Batman does that,
yeah,
or Bruce, I should say.
yeah.
Um, I also just didn't like the way he looked. The way they drew him was very weird to me.
In what way?
uh the Thomas Wayne, like just when he has the mask on, he looks like a pig almost. Like
Oh, I see. Like they're trying to
not
go for the
drawn
bigger,
human.
bulkier kind of thing.
No, I'm just talking about his face. It's
Oh, I
just
see.
his face. I'm just like, yeah, I guess that made it sound like I'm calling him fat. I literally mean like he looks like Porky Pig has a mask on.
Interesting.
And just his face. I'm not a fan of how they drew him, and he's got like weird red cheeks at some point.
Yeah.
I think in general I didn't like the way this was animated, but the Thomas Wayne, I was like, this could have been cooler.
I I did like the way this is animated.
No,
I
I think
yeah.
it's a style that people like. I'm not.
Yes.
I'm, as we mentioned last week, I'm on an
Mhm.
island here of being like this style doesn't work for me.
Sure. Sure. To me, the reason why I like it, I'm like, oh, this is like Batman animated series, but leveled up. And especially with Kevin Conroy in the voice cast, I'm like, that works really, really well for me. It really does. Because if they did Batman animated series stuff here, I'd be like, nah, they were going for Dark Deco vibes in Batman animated series. That's why that worked. It's not going to work here. So it does work really, really well for me. But I I think you're on that island with the Thomas Wayne thing.
Hmm.
I mean personally to me I'm like I didn't think there was anything wrong. I didn't get pig vibes whatsoever from his face, but like hey, I'm not going to invalidate what you're saying either because I'm like
You can if you want. I don't
I,
care.
I mean he's not nearly as good as Bruce Batman. Obviously I prefer the Bruce Batman over this.
Just didn't like the way he looked. It felt like once they got to his like jowl, I was like, ugh, no thanks. Um, but yeah, that's what else goes on with Thomas Wayne. Also, am I wrong? But the first time it doesn't work when they do their test.
Mhm.
Basically, Barry's like, I need the exact conditions
Yes.
of when I first get it, and he gets burnt, but then he doesn't die and is like able to walk around. Wouldn't Bruce be, or wouldn't Thomas Wayne be like, oh, okay, I guess you are almost there? He made it seem like, nah, that just was a complete failure. I'm like, you're a doctor. You think that guy could just walk away from something like that? You don't think that something's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I don't think he's a very good doctor in this.
I think what I'm saying is, yeah, obviously he's been away from being a doctor for however long,
Yeah.
but ostensibly you remember some of the stuff you studied and like things,
And
and
like
you would,
what
and
people should or should not be doing
people
after
like
getting hit by
us would be able to
lightning.
be like, you shouldn't be able to walk away from that amount of electrocution from
Mhm.
thing. He should also be able to do that with even more knowledge than us about how the human body works.
I mean, I don't disagree with that because like that is one thing that I thought about watching this movie. I'm like, you're a doctor. Why are you okaying him trying this again? You
I
even
just
said
like
he
you.
almost died, and I'm
I
like,
would have
why
been
are
like,
you?
just wait it out. Maybe this is working. Like I
Right.
feel like you shouldn't. I know he said you should have died, but the upshot of that is so maybe it worked. So you should just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait it out.
Which is why I found it funny. I'm like, okay, is that why he didn't put out the fire so fast? Because like I like that Barry even the second time goes like,
Just
yeah,
put the
if
fire out
just put
faster.
the fires out faster this time. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
But
It's
then he just
so
watched
good.
again. He was just like, okay, this seems like it's working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was funny that it didn't work the first time. I'm like, oh man, he's so horrifically burned and all that kind of crap.
Yeah, it just felt like something went well,
Mhm.
and he acted like it was a complete failure.
Yes.
And it's just like I don't know.
I mean, this version
You
of
should
Thomas
be a
Wayne
bit
is
more
that.
hopeful about what just happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess he's motivated. Like, yeah, let's try this again just because it's like, oh, yeah, let's get to the world where Bruce is alive.
No, I'm saying Thomas. I guess I don't feel like you in that. I feel like he should definitely have it happen again, or he should just be like, wait. But this in between thing he does, where he's like, that was a failure. Oh, you're gonna do it again? Okay, it didn't really work for me because I'm like,
Yeah.
either you're on board with just still trying, or you would be like, it's not humanly possible to do what you just did.
Hmm.
So,
I
you know,
guess there's
maybe I think
something
this
here.
worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. There must be something here. Like, yes, but yeah, it is a funny moment. It is a funny moment because I'm like, yeah, okay, you're just like agreeing way too quickly about this,
You
in my
just
opinion.
whatever, man. You gonna get me to Bruce? Then great.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
I did that is Barack Obama, right? That they're using as the president to talk to Cyborg.
yeah, probably. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, not his voice, but yeah,
No,
I'm
no, but
assuming
they're
like,
trying to
yeah,
pull
yeah.
that imagery. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Because I'm like, am I crazy? Am I projecting this? Just seeing a black president on screen, or like, did they actually just draw Obama there? And I'm like, it feels like Obama.
I
Yeah,
would imagine it was.
yeah. It's pretty cool. I liked it because at one point I was like, wait, is your dad the president? Is that what's happening? And then you saw the face because he calls him Victor a few times. I'm like,
hmm
hold on one second. That feels like a dad thing, but
What's his name
it's
again?
not. It's
Silas Stone.
Obama.
Was it
Yeah,
Silas
Silas
Stone?
Stone is the dad's name.
No, it was the president. He was just called the president because I
Yeah,
think it's that who's the actor? Kevin Michael Richardson. Yeah, he's
sure.
just listed as president, and James, who is the guy that always goes like, "Hey, welcome to the land of the living, Barry," or whatever he says when he wakes up.
Yeah.
So he's playing those two roles, and it's just president. So yeah, I was like, wait, did I see a Silas? And I'm like, no, it's definitely listed as president.
Okay. Okay.
Could be President Silas though. I just
Right.
think probably not.
Hmm. Yeah. I like
Deathstroke
that
is in this.
Lex. Yeah, Lex and Deathstroke are in this for a hot minute, and that's a fun scene. You get
Yeah,
killed.
I'm
That's great.
I'm happy to see those characters. Lois
I
Lane is
really
good.
like Deathstroke though. Like, not as a character, just visually. I think
Yeah,
visually
it's a
he looks
great
really,
look.
really cool. But like as a character, I'm like, yeah, there's not much great about you.
No, I do think he's an interesting character. It's just he hasn't been used well in anything outside of comics.
That's kind of how I feel about it. It's just like every time I see
They
him, I'm like,
almost
you're
got there with
only.
Titans.
Oh yeah.
They almost got there with Titan. Nah, actually, I take that back. He's good in the first seasons of Arrow. I think he's good.
Yes, he is. He is there. Yeah.
Um,
You're right. No, he's very
he's
good
good in
in
the first seasons of
the
Arrow.
few seasons of Arrow.
So yeah, I have to retract that. He is
Mm,
good in the Arrowverse. I think what I like about him is his connection specifically to Dick Grayson
right.
and how he's more of like in comics like a Titans slash Dick Grayson villain, and I
Hmm.
like that intensity he has for Dick Grayson.
Hmm.
Uh, but since movies don't really want to use Dick Grayson, you can't really get there
Yeah.
with Deathstroke, so he just becomes like
A
a cool looking
mercenary.
bad guy.
Yeah.
Um,
Or like
but
hired
yes,
muscle or something
I
like
should
that.
say I do think he's good in the Arrowverse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just like seeing him on screen. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. This movie is a lot of fun
And
for sure.
I think they did the version of Lois Lane I like where she's like a secret agent.
Yes.
I
I love that.
I am
It's
a
so
fan of
good.
that. In the new Superman run they're doing, the
Mhm.
Absolute Superman, she's also like an agent,
Yeah, it's awesome.
and I'm like, yeah, this I like this stuff.
Mhm.
because she can still use her investigative stuff, but
Yeah.
then not also she just never has to be a damsel in distress.
Yes. Yes. And it's really, really good. And I like everything about like that final like writing that she's doing while she's like running away from the army of Themyscira.
Hmm.
I really like how calm and delivered her voice her words are at that point, even though she's very well aware is like this might be my last
Yeah,
like
no, Lois
hour.
Lane is a great character.
She is
I
great.
really like her as
Yeah.
a character, and but I do like her when she gets to be like secret agent
Yeah.
or enforcer of some kind.
Hmm. It's really cool.
Um, I'm just going through. They, I guess they also do that weird thing where it's like Wildcat, Etrigan, and stuff, and I'm just like, who are these fucks? Like, I visually know who they are, but I'm just like, I don't have time for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
They're tied into the Lois Lane stuff. I feel like,
yeah.
and I'm just like, I just want Lois. I don't care for
Hmm.
this stuff.
Hmm.
It's too much in a short movie, I would say.
Yeah. It works from a comic book movie standpoint, like an
Yeah, that you
animated
get
one,
to see
just
a bunch of
because it's just
characters.
like, hey, I know that because I'm sure like there's more fleshing out of their involvement in the actual comic itself. But like seeing that is just like, oh, this is just a really cool visuals, and I like the fact that they're not limited by casting and all that kind of stuff. They can just draw, and
Hmm.
like it's really, really freaking cool.
I would agree with you that it's nice to see characters and not have to worry about like schedules or
Mhm.
some people can just do multiple characters, and
Yeah,
that's great. Um,
because that's what I
but I
like
was just like
about.
story wise, I was like, no, it's time for me to tune out.
I do agree with that. I just like the reality of like if this was World War III involving superheroes,
Yeah,
you would have more superheroes involved than the budget that your casting allows. And like the animated movies really have a great advantage to being like, yeah, we're just going to draw this person in and we don't even need a voice actor. They're
I
just
think
going to
that's a
punch things
very
and it's
fair
great.
point. I
Yeah.
think that's a good and fair point. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess there's the Captain Atom thing.
Yes.
He is powering something for the Atlanteans.
Yeah. He's the weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, and because Aquaman has that one where he's like, "Damn it, I'm gonna have to blow everyone up. It's all because of you." And I was like, I just can't get on board with this Aquaman. I feel like that's supposed
No.
to be a more powerful moment, but I was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
It's
do
stupid
you?
because
Do you have to do that?"
the reason why I hate that too, I'm like, oh, it's because of you, it's because of them. Then why did you have this as a backup plan
Hmm.
to begin with? It's not because of them. It's because that was always the card that you were going to pull out if you lost. You're just going to destroy everything else with it.
Yeah,
And I'm like, no, it's not because of them. It's because of you. It's dumbass. You
yeah,
manipulative fascist. But yeah. Aquaman sucks in this. But I mean, Aquaman. I'm not the biggest Aquaman fan, and that's why when they did the Momoa thing, I'm like, yeah, all right. At least this is something that people can be excited about, as opposed to the Aquaman that we do see here.
yeah. I thought they did a good job. Even though I don't love the movies, I thought they did
Yes.
a good job of like, this is our Aquaman,
Yep.
and you can't say anything about it really because you're just like, yeah. I mean, they took a point of view and they went with it.
Yep. They made a decision, and people liked that decision, and it was probably one of the more successful ones. Because
Certainly
Aquaman did cross
financially.
a billion. Yeah,
Yeah.
it financially crossed a billion, right? Aquaman won, that is.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I don't think anyone was under any.
uh,
I mean, the second one did better than the Marvels eventually, but it is
yes,
still.
but to say that it did anything close to a billion is like,
Yeah.
oh, that is factually inaccurate. No, that's wrong.
No, the first one did well, and so
Yeah.
that proved their point. Like they picked the right guy to
Yes.
reestablish that hero.
Yeah. And it's just because Arthur Curry's boring. Just boring as a
To me,
character.
he is. I feel like there must be some people who understand or not understand. I don't want to put it that way.
Mhm.
That writing works for them, and
Mhm.
that's great. It's just for me. I'm just like I don't care about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just too tied up in uh like castles and kings and like colonization kind of stuff to me for me to be like, oh yeah, this is something I care about. No, I don't. I'm like, oh, stop colonizing things, you jackasses.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that that's what he's doing, but it's certainly.
No, I mean the people that are into it are like, oh, we like these storyline bloodlines and all this kind. I'm like, yeah, that's really
Oh,
coded
you
towards
mean
something
like
else. The people that are fans of Aquaman.
so you mean like stuff like his relation to Orm and stuff like that?
Yes,
Okay, because I was like, I feel like he's more like green and preservation than he is conquest.
yes.
But
Oh, absolutely. I'm not. I'm just saying the people that probably do like Aquaman are probably a fan of that kind of
mhm,
storytelling,
yeah,
where it's coded within colonization and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that he
gotcha,
himself is
gotcha.
a colonizer. I'm just saying like the people that probably would enjoy Aquaman stories are probably people that are really, really big on Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah. And so I guess I've backed into realizing what didn't work for me about this Aquaman is
Mhm.
he obviously exists before Jason Momoa, but
Yes.
and again, I'm not saying I love the Jason Momoa version, but it was a version that I was at least like I'm interested. Like when I saw him in
Mhm.
Justice League, not Batman vs Superman, but when I saw him in the original Justice League
Mhm.
theatrical version, I was like, yeah, I'd watch a movie with him. Like I want to see where this is going.
Mhm.
And so I have to give them credit. Like at least they made it interesting
Mhm.
in that way. So then to come back to this, I'm like, yeah, this is just everything I think I don't like about him. So this
Yes.
is like, just like he's just kind of a nothing
Yeah.
personality.
Yes. And not on top of that, in this version, he literally is colonizing.
Yeah,
So I'm
he's
like,
just a bad guy in this, but also like
yeah,
without like as we said, I think that the Reverse Flash has a personality, and I like the
yes.
everything about it.
Mhm.
And it's weird because this is a Carrie Elways who I've seen be charismatic in so many different things, and I'm like,
Mhm.
there's not even a point of having Carrie Elways play this
Hmm.
character. Like that guy is very charismatic, and then we got this.
Yeah. Yeah. This bland friggin' meathead of a king.
Yeah, so I guess that I'm just now realizing I'm missing the personality, and I don't mean I want him to be like Jason Momoa, but at least Jason Momoa gave him a personality when he
Yes.
did it.
Yeah.
You can argue it's his personality, but still it's a personality, and this
Hmm.
felt flat.
Hmm. Yeah. I completely agree with you. Like every version of Aquaman that isn't Jason Momoa to me is like, I'm bored. I'm bored of this character. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying Jason Momoa was well cast as Aquaman because he's not. He is casted in a way where at least a lot of people are going to have fun with him, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what made it so successful. Because if we're talking about comic accuracy and casting and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, Orm basically did that role. Like, I don't want a whole movie with Orm, Patrick Wilson, and how like straight and
Yeah, like
narrow he
he's way
is.
better in the second movie when they were
Yes.
like, He's just gonna be
Oh
friends
yeah.
with
Yeah. No.
everybody."
The odd couple road trip thing that they had in the second one works a lot better. But what I'm saying is like, if
In the
they
first movie,
had
you're like,
a
"Look,
comic accurate Arthur Curry, it would have been like Orm.
yeah." I mean, probably I don't know anything about comic
Yeah.
accurate
I just think
Arthur
he's
Curry.
like a guy that's just like, oh, you're so stoic, you're so quiet, you're so strong, you're all that, and you're no personality. It's just like,
Yeah,
okay, dude, you're like, incel god or whatever it is.
it's interesting.
No, but it's
Uh,
just like there's no personality from anything that I've seen with Aquaman. It really isn't, and I couldn't agree with you more. I'm like, for me to be like, I like Jason Momoa as Aquaman because at least gives me something to like and enjoy
hmm
about that ride
hmm
is, I don't know, but yeah, it's Aquaman stinks like
I think
fish.
that is the one thing we will definitely agree on. Aquaman stinks in this movie,
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate because he's an important part of the movie.
yes, yes, he is.
Wonder Woman doesn't come out much better, but at least you are given things to think about with her. Like,
Hmm.
they tried to kill her, so she has to clap back.
Yep.
At that, just that alone, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I guess I feel more for her than I do Aquaman.
Hmm.
I'm still in the dark about what the hell Aquaman's trying to do.
But it's also okay. It also raises that thing for me of just like, oh my God, why is Mara attacking Wonder Woman when she should be like confronting Aquaman? It's like, hey, you're the one that cheated. You're the one that's
This is
married
the
to me.
thing. This is
That's
the
what I
thing.
hate
It
about it
it
too.
makes Mira look bad. And
It makes her
again,
look so
we
bad.
have a version of Mira in well, I'm not even gonna bring up the actor's name because I know people are gonna feel a way about it. The
Yeah.
like the Amber Heard, I'm gonna say that. Like the Amber Heard version of Mira, like,
Yeah, we did
is
it.
interesting. I actually liked
Yes.
her. Like we talked about in the second movie, like
Mhm.
as much as they tried to keep her out of that movie, a lot of problems could have been solved if she just was the one that went with him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like she's an interesting character that wouldn't boil down to you cheated on me, now I'm gonna fight the girl. Like
Yes.
she would have confronted him. That
Yep.
version feels like she is aware of what's going on and has the conversations that need to
Mhm.
be had.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, let's be honest, and like that's the thing that always is like a question mark in my head is like when I hear of any real life situation of people cheating, I'm like, wait, what? Why is why are the women fighting? What? Why is the girlfriend that got cheated on not, attacking or like
Yeah, I mean,
vocalizing this?
I
Like,
still get the ego getting in the way of rational thought of
sure,
like
that's true.
I'm going to lash out that way.
Yeah.
But ultimately, yeah, the big thing should be that Aquaman now feels like he needs to have a conversation with Mira
Yes.
and that she's dead, but it just doesn't feel like it matters to you. He's
It.
kind of like,
It.
yeah, what an
Yeah.
inconvenient thing when you killed my wife.
Yeah.
And
And I will say, Diana putting on her crown, I'm like, yeah, that is an act of war. Like,
yeah, good. I liked what she was like. Yeah, she tried to assassinate me. I don't care.
yeah,
I'm gonna
I,
wear this crown. Yeah, you're
I
damn right.
love that she's like, and you wear a crown to like, and I'm like, no, I wear it as a warning, and I'm like, oh, that's badass. That's
Hmm.
really cool. But yeah, this is like bloodlust Diana, and bloodlust Diana apparently kills children. So I'm like, wow,
Well, this is
wow,
why so she doesn't like. It's not much better because then you get into like, were you doing all this killing? I feel like you got
Mhm.
the revenge you needed.
Yes, she did get the revenge she needed.
Like you did it. You took care of it. The person who tried to kill you, you killed them.
Yeah, and it's
That's
it's
that.
it's weird to me because it's just like they have that little like dialogue while they are fighting, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, where it's just like, hey, it's like, I can't believe I ever loved you. And then Wonder Woman goes like, I don't think you ever loved me. And I'm like, what the hell is going
Yeah,
on
like I
here?
needed to see it beforehand. Like
Yeah,
this should just be its own thing. I know. Again, I
they
understand
needed
this
to
is part
flesh
of the
that out.
comic, but
Yes.
it's just it takes like listen. People listening to this will realize how much we talk about these two characters and don't talk about the Flash in this movie. Like
It's
we just
true.
don't talk about the Flash. We're talking about this, and
Yeah.
it's like because it takes up so much time.
Mhm. It
It takes
does.
it
And
sucks all the energy out from me. Whatever that's like about them on
yeah.
screen.
I
I would
no,
have
I do
loved.
agree with you on
I
that.
would have loved a Barry Allen that's like feeling like he's actually connecting with his mom and feeling like he's gonna lose
Yep.
something when he goes back to stop. But it just feels like he's like with his mom, and then he's like, I guess I should get powers again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's just the one scene. And
And
that's
then
the
he's
thing.
like, and then he's like, yeah, I guess I'll just go back. It's whatever.
That's
You don't
yeah.
feel anything. You don't have any conflict here. You're just gonna do it. Okay.
That's why like I'm going to your side about like how much this is a Flash movie versus how much this is a Justice League movie because like the fact that it is a League movie on paper allows us them to
Hmm.
be like, yeah, that's why we didn't go into that too much. And I'm like, but I really wish you would
Yeah.
because it's just the idea of like, okay, you got something back, you're not questioning it, you're loving it, but you there's no sense of loss. There's no sense of anything.
Like
It's
he
just
sees
like,
Iris and that she's got a kid and she's happy, and he kind of just like, well, that sucks. All right, well,
yeah,
okay,
that's
move on
it.
now, I guess.
It's not like he's running away and like there's you have this visualization of the memory of like them or like the fact that he might have like grabbed something of hers like a brooch or something to remember her by like in the same way like Thomas Wayne gets to give
Hmm.
Bruce the letter. It's none of that. It's just like, oh yeah, well, screwed up here, so let's go back here. And there's no real actual emotional scar, at least in the actual Flash movie. I'm like, no, there's clearly you can clearly see how that's
Hmm.
impacted him.
And
And
that's why I
that's
said like that's why to me it's important that it's not a mystery. It's
yes.
important that you know he
Mhm.
actively made that choice, and that the movie is like you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. Versus this was just like it was an accident, it was a mystery and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of don't have that, but it's still I would still think that the movie would be stronger if they showed Barry like having to deal
Oh,
with some
100%.
form of regret by
100%. This
missing
should
out on his
have.
mom.
If you're using the term I know that they hit it, like kind of couched it in a Justice League movie, but I feel like at that time, especially when you say Paradox or Flashpoint, people are like, "Oh, I know that story,"
Yeah.
and it just feels like it couldn't. I mean, I can't speak for other people. It just I watched it before I read the comic when it first came out. Then I read the comic before the Flash movie came or
Mhm.
the Ezra Miller Flash movie came out, and now I'm watching this and I'm just like, yeah, I just feel like it's not doing that comic justice in terms of the
Mhm.
Barry stuff, who
Yes.
is at the center of all this.
Mhm. Mhm. The and I hate saying this, but the Flash movie does focus do a good job focusing on the emotional journey of what Barry goes through a lot more.
Yeah,
It's but that is by title the Flash movie.
yeah,
It's not a
that was
Justice
just
League
the
movie.
Flash, but I
Yeah.
think we whatever. I don't want to keep praising that movie because I didn't ultimately love it, but I was like,
Yep.
I thought they did interesting things with it, like
Yes.
the fact that it wasn't an origin movie, but you still got to watch him get his
Hmm.
powers technically,
Hmm.
because he has to recreate stuff. I think all of that is cool.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
movie is just like, oh no, man, you know what he needs to do, and it does feel like
Mhm.
maybe. So I'm like, did they write the movie, make it, and then be like, oh shit, we better put Justice League on this because it's not really doing
Mhm.
anything for Barry, or did they know going into it like we don't really care about the Barry stuff, which seems like such an odd choice.
It's a very odd choice. It is. Um, there is one thing specifically about Barry in this movie that I think they did a really, really good job of that I think like not a lot of other iterations of Barry or the Flash get is the idea of like him needing to accelerate to the point to get to those points. I feel like a lot of other Flash iterations or like tellings is just like, yeah, he can just go like to break the sound barrier like with like just like that. You know what I mean? Versus like here it's just like, okay, he's fast, he's really, really fast, but he's got to work up to that point. And I think
I
that's really,
don't
really
know.
cool.
I feel like the Flash TV show did that pretty much every season,
I don't
and
agree that they
I
did.
mean, you should rewatch it then. And then,
I'm definitely going to tell you I'm not going to, though.
well,
That's
that's.
too
I
long.
mean, that's what I'm saying is you can't. I, as someone who watched it and took it in, they definitely did, and
See,
you should
I did
probably
watch it.
rewatch.
No, I did watch it, and that's the thing. Is like I felt like they did
This
do
might be
that.
recency bias for you, then, my
It
friend.
must have been, but like,
I think if you look at it, a lot
mhm,
of those seasons are built around them trying to put together what is in the Ezra Miller one as well, which is that treadmill type action that
right.
you have to build up to and actually work at, and it's not just
Mm,
something that comes easy to you. So I
gotcha.
don't even think that's done well in this because I think to me I'm bringing in what I
Mm.
already know to be like I see what they're doing, but it feels way more thought out in those two versions that I just talked about.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I personally that to me because you're right about the recency bias because I feel like if more recent stuff of the Flash is like, oh, he's going to warp speed like that. Versus this, I'm like, oh, they purposely show you that he's not, he's got to get to that point, and I like that about this. But you're probably right that I not remembering those things clearly is doing me a
I
disservice
mean,
for this
the
opinion.
good thing is it worked for you. That I think that's
Yes,
the important thing, not whether or not other things did it, but that
true.
it works for you here. I think that's the important thing.
Hmm. Yeah,
But for me, it was a thing where I was just like, it just doesn't feel like they're going. Yeah, to me, it just always felt like they brushed up against stuff that could be specific to Barry, and then kind of just didn't go as full on as they could.
I do agree with that.
Him getting his powers back is, I feel, the most they actually like focus
Hmm.
on a desire he has,
Hmm.
and it's it is entertaining, but it is just kind of like, wow. I feel like there's more emotional stuff we could get at here other than just please let me get my powers back.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're definitely right because I mean, like if he had just like said goodbye to his mom, like they like he does in the movie, just like, oh man, that would have been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they needed to bring the mom back at least one more time because the fact that she just meets him outside the police station and all that kind of stuff, and that's the only thing you get. I'm like, all right,
Because I
no.
think, I guess the movie he gives a really passionate kiss to Iris when he gets back, but there's no
Sure.
dialogue. You like it's I think when we talked about this, not
Mhm.
for this episode, but in the past when we talked about it,
Mhm.
I think we both were struck by the emotional ending for Bruce Wayne
Yes,
in it,
that
and
is
that
true.
always felt odd. That like it's why I like that
Mhm.
they made the changes they made for the Flash movies so that it could be about Barry.
Right.
Um, but this is just like I feel like the emotional payoff is for Bruce.
I agree with that.
That's a weird choice to make for your Flash. Which again, this is called Flash or Justice League, but still a
Mhm.
weird choice to have him be the only person that gets an emotional payoff.
Yeah. I mean, that's very, very true. Especially considering, like, really, Batman? You're gonna give the emotional moment to Batman? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's
Like
great,
it works
but
because
like,
it's a guy you don't think is gonna have that moment, but
exactly.
it is like I don't know, give that works in a story where we've already seen Barry do the
Mhm.
emotional stuff, but he doesn't
Yeah.
really do that before.
Yeah.
He just, as I said, when he gets back, he's just like, "Oh, thank goodness, still can have Iris."
Yeah.
There's no like sense that I feel that he's like, I can't believe I'm not gonna have my mom with me, or that I feel like he did anything of note when he was with her to
Mhm.
be like, at least I got that one moment back with her.
Yeah. See, he didn't did I don't think it shows you him taking her out to dinner for her birthday or whatever, right? Because that's the whole point.
I think
Well,
he they do
does he?
something together, but I don't know if it's dinner. Like I feel like they're at a
Okay.
coffee shop or something at some
Okay.
point.
It's like very, very quick and just like
I
something that you would expect to be like, hey, if you have your mom back from the dead, you probably spend a little bit more time with her.
I think maybe I'm not remembering the movie
Mm,
well, and maybe there is that, but to me, it didn't resonate. Like it didn't stick with me. Is
yeah.
and that's not the movie's fault, but I just for me feel like I never got the sense that he, um, especially since he just wakes up and you're not really. I don't
Mm,
really remember anything triggering for him being like, oh yeah, I want to be with my mom.
mhm.
it, it must be there, but it just
Well,
he
I
kind of just
mean,
wakes up and you're like, oh, his mom's there.
the thing that's triggering for him is Batman says it. It's like, oh yeah, don't mind Reverse Flash. He's a sociopath. He knows exactly what to say to get under your skin. And
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 and he said the thing
and
about
he
the
says like he brings up this like and the people that you couldn't save and all that kind of stuff.
so
And
then he went back and said,
he
okay.
immediately thinks of his mom.
And
So
I
I mean like
think maybe that's better writing than I'm giving it credit for. That he interprets that as I didn't get to save my mom, I'm gonna go save my mom. But
yeah.
it means that it's stuff that's happening not on screen, where he's having this thing again. Ezra Miller movie we talked about the Flash in that
Mhm.
movie has a conversation about it with
Yes.
the character who also lost their parents and is still
Yes.
saying, I still wouldn't mess with that,
Mhm.
even if it meant I
Um,
could have my parents back. And
yeah.
so you feel like there's something that he's like, and obviously this needs to be a mystery, so he can't have that
Mhm.
explicit conversation, but it doesn't feel like he misses her, and it just feels like a weird random time to be like, oh, I'll just go say my mom then.
I think the only thing that it does do is that them not having the mom thing is actually just following through on what the mom says at the beginning, Nora Allen at the
Oh,
beginning,
like
where
the
to
whole give me the
ex
grace to understand the things I
accept the
can't.
things that you yeah, and to accept the things that you can't change and all that kind of stuff and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. If anything, it's just like, oh, okay, he's finally accepted the death of his mom, that he couldn't save her and all that kind of stuff, like at
Like,
the end of the movie.
yeah,
But
I mean, I
that's
guess I
not
just didn't
good.
really understand that he felt that was something that he was struggling with.
Apparently it was, and like the movie just does not get you enough to be like, oh, that's his biggest regret, and that's the one thing he couldn't accept. You know what I
Yeah, he
mean?
seems pretty like
He
okay.
seems very okay by it, which is why it's because the thing is, I can understand a character like Batman being like, no, I can't accept this because like
Mhm.
and him
That's
going
his
back
thing.
like I desperately want to redo this thing, but Barry, he's the most emotionally stable of everyone. That's why I'm
Well,
like,
certainly in
it,
this version of it, like there's
yes,
nothing really, and I think the having actually, I guess they did go back in time because the Ezra Miller version, you feel like he's the younger one because of Justice League, so it also
yes,
feels like yeah, he's a little closer to it.
Yeah.
it would feel different for him.
Yeah, and that also feels like age-wise, yeah, he's young enough to make those kind of mistakes and just be like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe I can get, maybe if that won't have worked for me and all that kind of stuff, right? Because that's definitely a younger man's kind of thought. It's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I know the stats, but that's not gonna be me.
Exactly.
That's
I know
yeah,
what I'm doing. Don't worry.
yeah, I've done that before. I'm like, so yeah, they did do a good job with that in that sense, but in this, it's just like no, the version of Barry that you clearly have is like well adjusted. It's got a career, got a wife, got a kid, got all that kind of stuff, and it's just like how much is he affected by that trauma? I don't think there's a lot of actual impact, and just like
Yeah, this
maybe
movie doesn't have enough time to
yeah.
go through that. And as you said, because it needs to be a mystery,
Mhm.
maybe I should give it credit for dangling that and having that be the thing. But yeah, it just feels like maybe if I saw him wake up like at his mom's house and he's like, "Well, what did I do?" It would feel better, like so
Mhm.
that you could attach like it was. Like, he wakes up just at work, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you're just at work, but you're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like I'm trying to rewrite it, but it didn't feel connected the way it should have for me, and maybe that's my fault.
No, I do agree with you on that. It didn't I think that the more we talk about it's still one of my favorite like stories in
Hmm.
animated movies. But what I'm seeing here is like it's not for the character development, it's purely for the writing of the story and how fleshed out they made this like alternate universe and how they wrote these other
There's
characters
like
and
a lot
Thomas
of
Wayne.
interesting ideas
Yes,
in the alternate universe.
but it's not for emotional development, which is really what I care more about within these stories. So to me that's a bit of a bummer. Because I'm
It
realizing it in real time.
Yeah, I think I was hoping to like it a bit more,
Mm,
but you've made me feel a bit better about some of the choices at the very least.
yeah. No, I think you've done the same for me too, because I'm like, yeah, this is one of my favorites, and it still is. But to me, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't hold up as well as I thought I remembered it doing, at least from the first time around I watched it.
Do you want to rate it, or do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Nah, I'm good rating it. The only question I did have is like, and you would probably know this. I noticed at the end of the credits there was a little bit of a post-credit teaser or something like that.
I didn't
Um,
even watch it. What happened?
just a whole bunch of God, what's that demon guy that
Etrigan?
Etrigan? The whole bunch of those guys come out toward the end, and I'm just
It's
like,
a good
what's that
thing I
all
didn't
about?
stay till the
Okay.
end. I don't have time for that stuff. I don't
I
know.
wonder if that was them setting up another animated movie, or is that like something
I'm sure it was
referencing to
Justice
the
League
actual
Dark or
comic?
something.
Okay, that makes sense. That would
I feel like
probably make
he's always
sense.
a part of Justice League Dark or
Yeah,
something like that.
true.
Um. All right. Well, I'm gonna give this very strong 6.5.
Yeah, yeah, I'm at a 7.
Yeah, that's about right. That's
Yeah.
I think it does the storyline at the
Mhm.
very least. It's just maybe not as fleshed out as it should be, and we've already talked about it when we talked about All Star Superman. It's the runtime that they arbitrarily gave themselves.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things where I wish they allowed themselves to take the time they needed, like a full 2 hours, 2.5, and all that kind of stuff. Because like these are long comic runs to
I don't
distill
think
them
this one is that
into.
long, actually. The
No,
comic.
no, I'm saying I wish they would have taken the time to extend it and all that kind of stuff. Or
Yeah,
you're talking about the comic run.
yeah. I'm
It's
talking
not
about
that.
the comic run. I
Oh,
don't
I
think it's
see.
that long.
Fair
It's
enough.
just it feels better when you read it than this movie feels when you
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah, and I do agree with you on that. Like whenever I'm reading comic books and then watching whatever like live action adaptation they do of the story, it's like I like the idea that I can sit with that moment a lot longer for myself as opposed to being like, oh man, we only got that for like like a few frames and then we're gone, that kind of
It's
stuff.
why I like when the Marvel, and I would say the Flash movie as well.
Mhm.
They're just borrowing elements from
Yeah.
the storyline without I mean, Marvel just uses the comic run names, but you're so used to them just taking elements from it to just keep telling the story they already were telling.
Mhm.
And I feel like the Flash movie didn't use the title and was just like, we're gonna heavily lean on the Flashpoint stuff.
Mhm.
But I appreciate that because then it's just a new thing.
Yes.
And I think what I'm noticing, I'm hoping that other ones do better, is I never read and I still haven't read the Under the Red Hood comic, so I don't know
Mhm.
how it actually feels to read
Mhm.
that versus see it. So it's my favorite of them
Mhm.
so far. And the other ones that I've read the comics for, I'm like, I wonder if they're just doing themselves a disservice to be so close to the source material
Mm.
for you to just be like, well, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as good versus changing things up and having you be like, oh, this is just a new experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of changing it up.
Yeah.
I don't exactly know what the intention is with these animated ones, aside from a very clear one, which is let's make some money. But
Yeah, and drive sales for like the comics. Like,
yeah, but like I mean, like artistically, I don't know if the idea was let's bring what's on the page directly to
mm-hmm.
this, or if it's like we'll put a small little spin, but only 20% because we gotta stick close. But either way, I'm just like don't know what that mandate was. But if they did take a little bit of more liberties, like to spend more time on certain parts and really, and I can't get over this enough, really just give us more understanding about the Diana,
Yeah.
Mara, and Aquaman love triangle. Because that to me was just like, okay, they slept together, and then you put Mara in the shot, and that she's obviously pissed off, but we didn't even know that they were cheating. We were just like, oh, is Mara just not here? And
Yeah, you would just
it's
have to
weird.
know who Mira is for that to mean anything.
Yeah.
Even when you see her, like, is she jealous or like, are they together? Because it's a different world. So you're like, is
Yeah.
she actually with him or is she just like, oh, I wanted to be with him?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
you know that it's his wife later, but
Yeah.
still.
But it's just like it could be one of those things where it's like, wait, are Mara and Arthur actually together, or
Mm-hmm.
is Mara just jealous that Diana got in first, and like,
Mm-hmm.
what's happening here, right? I think they needed to explain that a little bit more and flesh that out, and give more emotional beats to Barry and the mom
Definitely.
relationship, or make it more clear that it's like, okay, he has accepted it and moved on and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think the way they did it here is a good. They're just like really rushing through a lot of different
Oh,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for listening, everybody. You can find us at tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. We are at TDF Spoiled on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube. You can email us, spoiledpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on all the podcast platforms, or most of them anyway. So please rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends, follow, or get in touch with us if we're not where you want us to be, or you just want to say hi and talk to us about something we should cover or something we have covered. We love engaging. So,
Or if you want to suggest something for us to cover, that would
yep.
be fun too.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Cheers.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.